aspiring writer and artist, access to working artists makes a big difference in the ability to imagine what is possible. That is the spirit of the support that Scioto Literary aims to provide for writers and storytellers in the tri state area. Through the organization, Amanda provides access and experiences that both deepen the imaginative capacity of individual artists, but also the community made by those artists. I have her on Chizuba Talks today, and Amanda is the founder of Scioto Literary with, you know, she's going to talk to us about her journey and the wonderful work that she does. I am Tej, host at Chizuba Talks. And to introduce Amanda, she is a writer. Her work appears in Belt magazine, The Daily Yonder, 100 Days in Appalachia, Literary Hub, and Yes magazine. She is the editor of the Columbus Anthology from Belt Publishing and the Ohio State University Press, and creator of Packard's Columbus, a walking tour of Frank Packard architecture in downtown Columbus, Ohio. She is also the co director with David Bernabo of the documentary Peerless City. And this documentary is about the rise and decline and rise of Portsmouth, Ohio, as examined through the lens of three slogans adopted by the city over the last 100 years. Welcome to the podcast, Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Amanda, tell us about your inspiration to establish this organization.
Well, when I was a teenager, I come from a working class background, and I had an experience at the local Southern Ohio Museum and Cultural Center where I was sent down to work with a poet who had come in from further north in the state. She came down for a week to work with high school students, and we did poetry based on the current show at the museum. And then we did a reading
Mhm.
afterwards of the poetry we wrote that week. And it was kind of a defining moment in my life. It was the first time I'd really worked with a working writer, and then it was the first time I ever read work in public, and it stuck with me. It stuck with me when I went to college and I was meeting other working artists, but in a very academic setting. Um,
Mhm.
so it really gave me a chance to see there are other ways to do it, besides just that one path that is like, go to graduate school, get a job teaching at a university, and then let that support your work. Um,
Mhm.
that working artist was Diane Kendig, and I know her to this day. Like, she's still doing workshops and creating experiences and writing books. So it was a really transformative experience for me to see that. And that's kind of the original inspiration. Years later, when I after graduate school, after living away, I moved back and I was teaching at the university, and I just thought, man, this place is like prime for some type of festival, like some type of literary festival. It's beautiful. It's easy to get to in some ways. There's not a freeway. There's a highway, Route 23, um, that connects us to directly to Columbus, which is why so much of my work is set in Columbus as well, because that's where I was living for the past several years before moving back to Portsmouth. Um, and so I had that idea, and then I left again. And then living in Columbus, I just happened to mention to someone, a funder from Ohio Humanities, a program director. I said something about a poetry festival in Portsmouth, and he was like, "We would love to fund something like that." So I knew the interest was there from the funding side. And then I started to, kind of ask around, and people were like, "Yeah, I think that would be good. I think that would be good," in Portsmouth. And so I had the idea for Scioto Literary then, like to incorporate into a nonprofit that could host a festival. But it
Mhm.
wasn't until lockdown, when we were all in quarantine, and I watched Moundsville on PBS and started talking about it on Twitter. And then one of the directors reached out, and then Peerless City came to be, that I actually incorporated and created Scioto Literary as I also have a doing business as a DBA called Peerless City Productions that was actually um, like the documentary arm of Scioto Literary that then produced the film.
Oh, nice. So you mean to say that at that time there was no literary scene happening in Portsmouth or Columbus?
Well, Columbus has a giant literary scene. Like it is like you can there are many entry points. Portsmouth has one. It's much smaller because the city is smaller. And I was trying to connect like a lot of poets know each other. There's a very strong poetry scene here. Um, One thing that I wanted Scioto Literary to do is to help people get funding to support their work. I've I have volunteered for arts organizations for years, and I've gotten pretty good at writing grants and doing some fundraising. So
Great.
that was one of the resources I thought that Scioto Literary could provide. At this moment,
Interesting.
yeah, at this moment, I'm actually like having one-on-one conversations with a lot of the poets here in Portsmouth to ask them like, what do you think we need here? How can
Right.
how can I support the community? Basically, what resources can Cider Literary provide? So I'm getting a
Right.
lot of feedback, um, helpful feedback to help further
Right.
develop the organization.
Correct. So funding is one aspect you talk about. So any other type of support that you're looking for, some experiences. You mentioned about this poetry festival that you want to create or you have
Yeah,
created. So does your organization provide or you're aiming to provide that for
yeah.
writers?
So for the last 2 years, we started last year and it was very small. And we did a number of things. It wasn't just going to be poetry. This year we kind of went off script and did. We partnered with Shawnee State University and Southern Ohio Folklife for the Digital Appalachia Symposium. So we each had a day. The Center for Public History had a day, Southern Literary had a day, and Southern Ohio Folklife had a day. And on that day, like I did a workshop for people interested in writing about lost architecture because Cider Literary's current project is I'm editing an anthology of essays about lost architecture in Portsmouth. So providing that type of workshop is important, I think, because I come across a lot of people who would be interested in contributing, but they say I'm not a writer, and I'm like, well, I'm here to help support that. Like we will work together to develop and edit the piece. So a lot of it too, I think, is maybe not confidence building, but really like just helping people see that.
Supporting, yeah. Let's take a break to understand what Chizuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chizuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chizuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chizuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chizuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest.
Yeah, you can do this. Yeah, you can do
Right.
this.
Yeah, that's so important, right? Because
Yeah.
I think in literature and in the creative arts, it is always about not seeking validation. I don't think that's the right word, but it's about just having that support and knowing that they are acknowledged
Yeah.
in terms of yes.
There's a
So
lot of imposter syndrome, and I really want to melt that. Like it's not necessary.
yes,
So many people back, and it's like, well, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, and it's like you don't
yeah.
have to. like it's you don't have to. If you want to be an artist, say you're an artist, and
Say, yeah,
yeah,
true, true.
and you're an artist. So
So, do you think society has a role to play in that? Because, you have to, when you're an artist, you need to be uh, established, or you need to provide, or you need to come out with examples of your work.
mhm.
And is that a lot of pressure on artists today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially if you know, depending on your socioeconomic class background, if you have to have a day job to support your family and then you're finding just pockets of time for your work, you know,
Hmm.
artists have to do it all, right? There's not like a universal basic income for artists. So like in order to fund
Correct.
your practice, a lot of times you have to have a day job, and that means your work is kind of compartmentalized. Um,
And that doesn't really work with the creative arts. You need,
huh?
artists is basically about imagination. It's also about the creative streak. It's also about the zone where you want to feel creative. So having a day job and, working in the time that you compartmentalize, saying that, say between 6 and 8, I can be creative and be my artist. So that doesn't happen, does it?
Not always, no, and especially if you have a family or other obligations. So then I think what happens is, um, there's less opportunity then to, like, if you're doing your art in that pocket of time, when do you find the pocket of time to market it or, do the
Hmm.
networking or do
Hmm.
so? Um, I'm hoping to help dissolve some of those barriers. Um, Obviously, I can't provide a lot of day jobs or money for that type of thing, but help people understand a little bit about like the entrepreneurial side of being an artist, and
Hmm.
how to market work quickly. Provide an existing network for people who just
Just
have other.
communicate and connect. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So, Scioto Literary is trying to foster a sense of community amongst writers
yes.
living and working in Central Appalachia. And so, community building is extremely important here. So, that's what your organization is doing.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not just, I mean, as much as I'm bringing together, or the organization is bringing together writers and storytellers, but then the audience for those stories are part of the community as well.
True.
So one of the things that I keep coming across is this idea, like, literature born from this place can help cultivate civic pride, a pride of place,
Hmm.
and that's such an important thing for people
So
too, I think.
true. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
in that confidence building and in just recognizing that this place is rich with stories to be told, so let's tell them.
Right. Very interesting. So, do you organize events or showcasing the work of writers, or like you mentioned, the history of the region?
Hmm. Yeah,
Do you
we've
have
done two.
events?
Yeah, we've had two readings this year that were like, well, one was a night of Portsmouth poetry, which was Portsmouth inspired poetry. And we did that at the Southern Ohio Museum and Cultural Center. And then the other night was a night of place based poetry and prose, and that was at the Landing, a local coffee shop. And um, that was just an opportunity
Hmm.
for people to, tell stories from the
Right.
place. So,
So, one interesting question that comes out of this is: have you thought about immersive experiences for your events?
give me an example. What do you mean?
By an immersive, you have writers, you have poets, you have maybe you could have some culinary extravaganza in the event, or you could have something related to the sights and sounds with
Mhm.
sight and sound show, or painting, for example. Bring it all together, integrate it, and
Yeah,
have an event like that.
that'd be fun. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the original festival we titled the Appalachian Foothills Festival. So we could bring in, like, to include musicians and food.
Food,
Yeah.
yes.
What I'm finding is it might be, and this is just, again, it's like I'm still having conversations and trying to really nail down exactly what it is that we want to do, but it might be important for us to niche down and just do like
Mm-hmm.
one genre really well, if you know what I mean. And
Mm-hmm.
so um, I'm still
Right.
navigating that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
navigate. Okay. Well, all the best with that. Just a
thanks.
thought, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
worth considering.
right. So tell us about your next project. Tell us about what you see in the next, near future.
Well, let's see. Right now, our next project is the Lost Portsmouth Anthology through the History Press, and that's going to be a collection of around 20 essays on lost architecture in Portsmouth. Um, then, in addition to that, so I'm really trying to build a community there of, and I have some
Mm-hmm.
poets doing some writing for me, historians, but I think my background is in creative nonfiction, which includes, documentary filmmaking, journalism. So I'm really trying to build that essay writing community here. Um, and then in addition to that, I have a second film in production called Why I Stay, and it's about the commitment to stay in Appalachia. um, there's a
Mm-hmm.
there's a real narrative here about, in order to succeed you have to leave, and then that
Okay.
it's a struggle for the people who stay to find, well-paying work, creative community, like all the things that you find when you leave.
Right. Right.
um,
Better
so
opportunities.
yeah, I'm just really trying to explore that narrative and yeah, look
Yeah,
at
very
the stories of
interesting.
people who have not left and built lives here. And so those are
Yeah.
the two projects that are on tap right now. And then, like I said, I'm kind of on a listening tour, just asking people, what does the community need? I have ideas for some workshops on obviously finding funding, um, maybe writing a book proposal and understanding the publishing landscape. Um, but yeah, right now it's really about just getting people
Right.
together.
It sounds like a lot of work. Tell me it is not. Is it a challenge to, get yourself to network with people to support your cause?
Well, I love one-on-one conversations. Like I mean, I could just have coffee and conversations all day. So that's not really a challenge. It's just kind of, it fits my personality. It's what I love to do. Um, it's only a challenge in that there's a lot of like back end work or like reporting and, writing the
Yes.
grants and, doing the things that keep the organization sustainable. That back end stuff is, it's just a balancing act.
Right.
So.
So if somebody were to support you in some way, I think what is the kind of support that you're looking for virtually?
Oh, yeah. Well, one thing I'm hoping to do in 2024 is have an intern to work on some social media uh, stuff, because I'm kind of terrible at keeping a social media presence alive for the organization. So that will be really helpful. I mean, I have a lot of ideas for posts, and I know, there's a lot of commenting and interaction that can be done through that. And I am just, again, those two other things take my time, so that kind of falls to the wayside. And I know I'm missing a lot of opportunity there to connect with people.
So you have the
Out,
content, but you need be somebody to execute it.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Well, Chazuba is here for you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, Amanda, I love talking to you. I love the idea of you creating a community where literature and the arts are brought into focus, where you network, you connect with people. And I think that is the ethos of any place that one stays in. And to keep that spirit of a city or a place alive, it is important to have artists. And I think your organization is doing a fantastic job there.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for talking to us.
My pleasure.